Today on Carcass, we catch some air and roll a slightly used UTV. We spend all of our hard-earned cash on a broke-down bug, and we cut apart a perfectly good Can-Am. You're watching Carcass.
When you want to build something different, you turn to these guys, Jeremy Wutman and Jimmy King. Jeremy was raised in Minnesota building street rods. He's a builder, fabricator, and welder. Jimmy grew up in Nevada, working in his dad's garage building cars. He's a mechanical engineer, builder, and fabricator. They take left-for-dead rides and transform them into one-of-a-kind builds. If you can dream it, they can build it. This is Carcass, a non-traditional speed shop.
Today on Carcass, we're in search of a brand new project vehicle, and we think we're gonna find it in Lewisburg, Tennessee. You never know what we'll drive off with next.
Diamond in the rough.
It's not a diamond, it's a Volkswagen.
No, I know, but you take the fenders off, then it'll be cool. Right now, it looks like a gumdrop with wheels.
Gumdrop.
This is a 2000 Volkswagen Beetle. In its prime, it got 49 miles to the gallon. But what's important to us is the wheelbase, which is just under 99 inches. Yeah, that's gonna be good.
This will be cool. This will be a good build.
Yeah.
I just gotta hope it starts. Supposedly it runs.
Yeah.
If not, we got a trailer.
Yeah, and the winch might work.
That's a big might. You gonna load it up?
Let's go load it up.
All right. Let's see if this darn thing's gonna start. After isn't popped. Ooh, that's fancy. Ooh, it's sparked. That's a good sign. Nice. Try it again.
Horns on.
I can't shut it off. I don't know how to shut it off. Can you lock and unlock the doors? Well, yeah, we'll pull the ramps on the trailer before we go any further, because I don't want to listen to this thing all day.
Well, all there's left to do now is to get this thing back to the shop.
You might be wondering what we're doing with this Volkswagen Beetle, but, well, Jimmy, should we tell him?
No, keep him guessing.
Well, you heard the man.
While we figure out what to do with our Volkswagen Bug, we decided to take an inspirational drive. This is our Can-Am Maverick X3 Turbo. Well, to be clear, it's our wrecked X3 Turbo.
It's been rolled, but like only once.
And this thing is awesome. It's got a 900cc 3-cylinder turbo engine that makes 120 horsepower. On top of that, it's got Fox shocks on all 4 corners that allow up to 18 inches of suspension travel. And I'll tell you, I've driven this thing and it rips.
Let's go. This Can-Am can fly. With this thing in 2-wheel drive, we hammered it in and out of the corners, floored it through the straightaways, and had a blast getting it covered in mud. The platform on this thing just works. It's got plenty of horsepower, it runs great, the suspension system just flat out works, and what better place to test this than at Adventure Off-Road Park?
As we wore out our welcome at AOP, Jeremy and I put the pedal to the metal and launched our mud-covered UTV over some jumps.
Something ain't right here.
That don't work. Check it out. Ha! Well, I did say this thing could go over almost anything, but it's only if you've got 4 good tires, not 3. That kind of ruins our day.
Yeah.
We just got to try to figure out how to get back, I suppose.
Yeah. We could drive it.
Yeah, I suppose it's already broken. Might as well just drive it out. Well, you're driving. I didn't do it. You did it. So you get to drive it out.
Well, that sucked.
We rip it.
We get rid of it.
We cut into it.
How we get from this to this.
Coming up, you're watching Carcass. Yeah, I think this is gonna work. Been waiting to see these two things next to each other for a very long time.
Yeah, this is gonna be absolutely awesome.
This is crazy. These things are basically the same size.
I think that body's gonna fit perfectly on this and give it a lot of personality.
Oh, it's gonna have so much attitude.
Yeah.
This is gonna be amazing. That's right, you heard us. We're gonna take our used and slightly abused Volkswagen Beetle and put it on top of our Can-Am X3. Now, we're not the first one to do this, but Jimmy and I are gonna put our own little spin on it.
It's gonna be a Baja bug.
You know what, Jimmy? There's not a whole lot of this car we're gonna end up using.
I don't think so. If we're gonna put this body on the side-by-side, we're gonna have to cut this thing up.
Yeah, you know, the seat's not even attached. We're gonna end up using the steering and all the suspension off of the Can-Am, so this can all go.
I think so.
I think the very first thing we gotta do is get rid of all the interior, and we might as well, I guess, get to work, huh?
The Beetle is a unibody car, which means that the chassis and the body are all one piece. We're gonna have to cut the floor out of this thing to set the shell on top of the side-by-side, so we're gonna have to trash the interior.
This is one of our favorite parts of the build because we love seeing how big of a junk pile we can make. Never mind.
In reality, this teardown took us about 5 hours. We stripped everything, from the headliner and carpet to the entire dash. I'll tell you what, dude, for such a tiny car, this thing is surprisingly roomy without the interior in it.
This thing's huge. The pile outside is just as big as the car, but it's nice.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Now that the nasty interior is out of the way, we're gonna move to the outside of the car. Now we're only interested in the steel body of this car. So all that plastic and the bumpers and the fenders can come off and hit the scrap pile.
Come on, strong guy.
That works. That's an easy way to do it. I mean, or you could take it off that way. All right, I got it.
Cool, man. With the fenders and the bumpers out of the way, we can see the bare metal, and that's gonna give us a good idea of what we need to cut to separate the shell from the chassis.
All right, Jimmy, I think we're ready to start cutting this thing apart.
Yeah, me too, but there's one thing we gotta watch out for. The fuel lines run on my side somewhere in here, so I'm gonna find those and mark them, and the fuel tank is still full of gas, so we gotta be careful.
Yeah, that sounds good. We obviously can't use the torch, so we've got a couple different tools we can use, and if you wanna mark that side out, I'm gonna get to cutting on my side.
All right, I'll mark it out.
We're gonna cut holes in the floor with a cutoff wheel to get the reciprocating saw in place. Then we're just gonna run the whole length of the floor and cut this thing apart.
We found these to be the best tools for the job, and as we were cutting, we were being mindful of the fuel lines running under the floor on the passenger side. All right, I think that's the last cut, Jeremy.
Man, it took us long enough. There's probably only one way to really pick this up. Let's move it onto the hoist and use the hoist to pick the thing up.
Roger, let's do it.
Deal. Nope, I ain't turning, hang on. Flat tire, you hear that?
What is that?
Listen to that.
There's Fix-A-Flat in it too, that's why it's making that bubbly sound.
Yeah, we ran over the screw and there's Fix-A-Flat in it. Now we're,
That's great.
that looks like antifreeze.
Good thing we're not using the wheels and tires.
Yeah, we'll clean that up later.
Up next, you'll see this and this.
But first, we have to do this.
What it takes to build a Baja style bug.
Next on Carcass. Let's get you guys all caught up on the body swap with the Can-Am and the Volkswagen Beetle.
So far, we ripped out that nasty interior and marked the fuel lines to make sure we didn't cut through them.
Then we made some very strategic cuts so we could separate the top from the bottom.
And now the challenging part, using the hoist to see if we can do that.
So I'm like, oh, you could block right here and pick this up, but this is still under the body.
Yeah.
What do you look like on your side in the back? Obviously the front's
I mean, I'm like close-ish, but
like, and
but not
I'm
really.
Like not that close.
Yeah.
Cheat. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, so we cut way up here. And put the hoist in and pick up right here.
Ooh.
Can you put the hoist in and pick up back? That works,
yeah.
doesn't it? So we finally figured it out. Instead of lifting up on the bottom pinch weld, we're actually gonna move the hoist arms up, and then we're gonna pick up by the rear shock mount and by the front strut mount. That way we can pick the body off the chassis and then just roll everything out from underneath it. Ooh, that's a loud noise. Oh, it's nothing. I think we're okay. We just got kind of stuck on the body there. Okay. Ready? I'm just gonna kick it.
Kick it.
And it actually rolls right out from underneath us. Let's go.
Now we have the bug body removed from the chassis, but that's only half the equation. So now we're gonna work on the X3, take all the plastic off, cut the cage off, throw it under there and see if it fits.
Panel after panel, we're trying to get our eyes on all of that metal that's hiding underneath all of this plastic.
Anything outside the roll cage needs to go. That means sliders, body panels, and even the lights out front.
That looks completely different than when it came in here.
It doesn't look like a plastic toy car anymore. You can see the shocks, see the engine, the roll cage.
Yeah, I want to drive it just like that. Let's go.
There's an empty field with your name on it.
Yeah, this thing's good. Way easier to get into without the doors on it. This Can-Am absolutely soars. With that 900cc turbo engine in the back, our now stripped down Maverick can really throw us around.
With this thing in the buff, we can really get a feel for how the bug body will sit on this X3.
And we now know this thing has enough power to handle the extra pounds we're gonna throw at it. Dude, this thing's a riot.
Oh, it's smooth. I love it.
We gotta go cut it up now, though.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna spread, we're gonna cut, and we're gonna squeeze this bug body over our Can-Am.
But first, we have to cut up a perfectly good UTV. This is Carcass.
Jeremy and I have made some headway on our UTV bug body swap.
We've ripped out all the interior and made some very specific cuts to the unibody donor car.
With us reaching the point of no return, we lifted the body off its chassis and started digging into the Can-Am's plastic exterior.
We've stripped it down so we could get a better look at the meat and potatoes on this Can-Am.
You know, Jeremy, there's only one thing left we gotta do before we can slide this guy under the bug. We gotta cut the cage off.
Yeah, I saw you taking some measurements. Where do you think you're gonna end up cutting?
I think about 15 inches from the base plate on the front, and on the back, we'll just cut it right at the base plate.
Sounds good. We'll get the cage off, slide it underneath there, and then we'll actually be able to see if this thing fits.
So you got tools, so let's get started.
Yeah, great. I'm gonna take some measurements. To finish it off, we'll use this guy. There you go, Jim.
Thanks, man.
With the top cut off the side-by-side, we now know after doing some measuring that it won't fit underneath the Beetle. So it's time to start doing some trimming. Got it.
Now that we've taken more material from the inside of the rockers, we're ready to slide the X3 under the bug.
There you go.
I think we get that
Porto-Power.
thing.
Try to Porto-Power it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna flex out, but.
Oh, yeah, it ain't gonna take much. The Porto-Power is like a big spreader. It's a hydraulic press that pushes the bug body outward. We need just a few inches so we can squeeze it over the Can-Am.
Oh yeah. That's good.
We're not that far off, really.
No.
So we just gotta make a couple of those little changes up front. We should be golden. We know we gotta cut the cowl out of it, so let's just go back up, roll the chassis out, and cut the cowl out of it.
All right, sounds good.
We are so close to finally having our bug body attached to our Can-Am.
We needed some brackets to mount to the UTV's frame, so we used 2-inch flat bar and sheared it to 3-inch sections.
And adding a punch hole will make sure that the bug body is removable in the future.
And finally, we tacked in the body mounts to see how this duo came together.
Oh my God.
Dude, that's the weirdest feeling. That's the weirdest feeling in the world.
This is incredible.
Wow.
I can see us now just sending it off some jumps.
We got handles. We got door handles. Like,
There's tons of room to put the cage in here.
look, the door works.
Nice and roomy.
Look at that. Like, the door works.
This is awesome.
We get real tricky and actually hook up the power windows. I still have got the switch.
Oh,
We've got the regulators. I can put a 3-way switch in here. Just boom, the windows go up.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of way cool.
We're pretty smart guys.
Yes. 2 points. Next time on Carcass, our transformation of this Baja bug continues. We add a roof rack, a whole mess of lights, and some shiny exhaust. It's gonna look BajAwesome.